With me to discuss this is Ivan Eland, Senior Fellow at the Independent Institute in Washington, D.C. Mr. Eland, good for you to join us. Now, the U.S. is having to fight not just enemy militants in Afghanistan, but the growing idea of extreme Islam itself. So how can military operations defeat an idea?
Well, I don't think they can. In fact, I think they make things worse because the main premise that the Islamic fighters are going on is that the non-Muslim forces should be removed from their soil. They fought the Soviets in the 80s, and they're fighting the U.S. now. And the U.S. has not learned from the Russian experience or the British experience in that area. And I think this large nation-building effort is doomed to failure no matter how many forces they put in there, because simply Afghanistan is a decentralized country. It's a tribal country. It's not really a centralized sort of country. And so the forces are making it worse. The Taliban actually had a resurgence after U.S. troops reached a certain level. And I think it would have been better off for us to go in and take out the terrorists. I think we need to deal with the terrorists, the Islamic extremists, but I think the United States really should have just hit the extremists, removed the Taliban, and then left.
Well, let's talk numbers now. The U.S. has tried to keep troop numbers down since the start of this war, but is now acknowledging that it does need more. So how many troops is enough in such a huge country that you describe as tribal and decentralized?
Well, the problem was that we were fighting another war in Iraq, and that was getting priority. And now, of course, Obama has shifted the priority, although I don't think the conflict is really over in Iraq. It's just there's just a lull, but he's moving the troops. He's bought into the surge, and I think they're trying to sort of mimic the surge in Iraq, which quelled violence, at least temporarily. But no matter how many troops you put in Afghanistan, and the U.S. has far fewer troops per inhabitant in Afghanistan than it does in Iraq. Plus, you have more rugged terrain in Afghanistan. So I think there's way too few troops to subdue the country, and so I think Obama is going in the wrong direction now. He has scaled back the objectives from democracy to just instilling stability, but even that, I think, is a Herculean task in such a large and rugged country.
Well, aside from the difficulty of the Afghan terrain, there's also the issue of time here, isn't there? U.S. operations in Afghanistan are fast approaching the 10 years that the Soviet Union spent there. So how long do you think the U.S. and its allies will remain?
Well, I think until the U.S. populace gets tired. They got tired really quickly of the Iraq War, but the Afghan War has more support because it was felt that this was necessary after 9/11. But as I say, I think it would have been better to go in, take out the Taliban, and then go back and strike the terrorists if they started creating camps again in Afghanistan and it became a haven. But the United States has increased its objectives there from not only defeating al-Qaeda and the Taliban to nation building, drug interdiction, and bringing democracy, and I think that's not going to work.
All right, Mr. Ivan Eland, thank you very much for those thoughts this afternoon.